Thank you for joining me this evening. I'm excited to be able to share with you the culmination of our assessment and curriculum team meetings in hopes of seeking approval for intervention expenses that effectively address our strengths and weaknesses in the areas of instruction, curriculum, and assessment. We have met recently to discuss the updates to the district and individual school assessment action plans. These came about as a result of the release of yearly scorecards for 2018-19. As you're aware, the middle school score fell by around 1.8 points due to declining state test scores, putting us in a somewhat dire situation for this school year and next. Our goals for the next few minutes are to outline the testing data provided by the state and bring your attention to proposed interventions and strategies to increase scores, as well as provide you with their budgets. In the graph here, you see the percentage of students tested in 6th grade ELA who demonstrated proficiency or above are just under 15% of the total 207. This number is not what we had hoped. However, we've seen a tremendous amount of teacher turnover in our upper elementary and in 6th grade, believing that this factor plays a role in the student performance. Our 7th grade students demonstrated the highest percentage of proficiency amongst our middle school students. Of the total 214 students, 17.4% were proficient or advanced. Topics such as research, sourcing, and citations are classified as our relative weaknesses. We will look at the implications of that data at a later date. Overall, slightly more than 14% of our total 8th grade students tested proficient or advanced on the ELA M-STEP. We showed growth in areas such as inferencing and revising a text. Our approach for the next testing session is to focus on relative weaknesses such as grammar and language standards, reading and analyzing informational text, and determining words using context. As you can see from above, more of our students met the benchmark for evidence-based reading and writing than math, with 24% of our 8th graders meeting the benchmark for evidence-based reading and writing. We recommend looking to implement several interventions to ensure that students improve their scores on the PSAT from November to April and for 8th to 9th grade. These intervention specifics will be outlined in a moment. We are confident we can closely align standardized test prep with the mission of college and career readiness. Now that we've seen the data, let's look at the proposed interventions. One recommendation to benefit 6th and 7th grade students is the introduction of a pilot program utilizing our Edmentum account called ExactPath. Through ExactPath, students have an account tied directly to assessment scores for NWEA map testing using target analysis from previous M-STEP tests. CPA will see an initial cost of right around $6,500 for this pilot program that comes from Title I. If the pilot program is successful, yielding higher proficiency rates for 6th and 7th graders, we will increase the number of students with accounts next year. The only other costs incurred will be minimal, less than $1,000, as most of our training is covered by our existing account. Several of the teachers will need to attend facilitators training at $250 per instructor. One of the steps we took to increase student proficiency was to identify students who are close to achieving proficiency or above in the area of ELA. These students would be invited to participate in a 4-session academic camp to improve their literacy skills. Typically, 90 students per grade attend this camp. Funding for the program comes from Title I, which pays the stipend to teachers of $30 an hour, totaling 7 teachers per Saturday, coming to a complete total of around $3,360. Materials are already ours. We do not need to pay for anything additional. The only other cost for this program is to provide breakfast and lunch to our students, and that money comes from a grant we received through Title IV. Each week, the cost to feed students is around $500 for a total of $2,000 for the duration of the program. Lastly, the group we see an incredible amount of potential with is our 8th grade students. As we transition to PSAT, we've decided to partner with exam experts. On average, students who participate in this program increase their overall score by 120 points. Each week during 8th grade English classes, representatives from exam experts will teach practice assessments going over various test-taking strategies. With this contract, they provide manpower to facilitate each session, they print copies of the testing materials, and they debrief with our teachers each week. Based on this data that has been presented, it's my recommendation that we implement these 3 major interventions, including purchasing ExactPath accounts for our students, implementing a 4-session test prep camp, and that we seek a contract with 8th grade students to participate in the Exam Experts PSAT test prep course in order to increase the number of students who meet or exceed benchmarks. In total, the cost derived from Title I would be $14,660, and from grant funds from Title IV, we would spend $2,000. These recommendations are all-inclusive with the exception of the possibility for more PD for staff for ExactPath. There's also a demonstrated need for a reading specialist to target students to maximize proficiency. The reading specialist salary to be hired and trained prior to the start of the 2021 school year would be $54,500, putting